Hey everyone, welcome to your Yin Yoga practice. Today we are serving up a short but very sweet practice designed to get into your physical body, settle some of that monkey mind and calm the breath. I'm going to introduce first my lovely students. I've got Duncan to my left and I've got Bev to my right. And a couple of things you may want for this class is some props like a bolster or a block. Do not worry if you do not have that. You can head into your bedroom or couch, grab some pillows, some books could serve as blocks, even a rolled up towel would be fantastic. So once we've got that sorted, we're going to come onto our mats and get started. The first shape we're going to come into is a shape called child's pose. So we're just going to turn onto our mats. We'll be on all fours, sitting the hips back to the heels, big toes to touch. And the knees are a little bit wide apart, but not too wide just yet. If you like, this is where you can grab your pillow, your bolster, just place it in between the legs and just start to drape down the torso so the torso can carry a little bit of weight on this bolster pillow combo you've got going on. Great, and then here, what we can do also to support the body, especially for those of you at home, if your hips are really high away from your heels, you can grab your block or book, even a rolled up towel, and just wedge it underneath the bolster. And then when you come down, we've lifted the floor up to meet you to support you a little bit better. Great, and then from here, let's just start to settle in, get into the breath body, and let that be the forefront of your practice. So deeper inhales, see if you can start to get that air to swell more into the lower belly, more into the lower back. And then see if your exhales can go for a little longer. So what we're doing now with these deeper, slower breaths is we're tapping more into the parasympathetic system. And when we can get into this rest and digest system of the body with deeper, slower breaths, you're going to start to slow your physical body down, and you'll also start to slow down your mind. Good. And usually in the practice of yin, we spend roughly 2 to 5 minutes in each pose. Today, we're going to keep it pretty short and sweet, about 1 to 2 minute holds. If you've got more time, great, spend more time with you. But the idea of these longer holds is that we're getting into what we call yin tissues. Yin tissues are bones, joints, ligaments, and they're just a little bit more denser. And the idea is that when we're in the pose, we're like a sponge. We're marinating and we're kind of soaking, and we're allowing this blood flow, chi flow, more fluid through the fascia flow into the denser parts of our body. Good, let's take one more deep breath in here and out. Good. Now, if you feel comfortable, stay as you are, or perhaps you can just open the knees a little wider. We'll get Duncan to stay where he is as long as he's comfortable. If you'd like to try a little bit deeper, we're going to move into frog pose. So Bev is going to start to lift her hips up. She'll shift the bolster forward in front of her. Open the feet wide like little froggy feet. It's up to you whether you flex the feet or point your toes, and then start to come down from here. So we're still supported. We're allowing gravity to take over, so we're not feeling like we're tensing or holding up here. And then the higher the hips are, the more the hips are stacked over the knees, generally the less intense this will be, as opposed to sitting the hips back down. But where Bev is now is perfect. And where you are at home, just feeling to your body, you do not have to look like either of these two here. This practice is so much more of a feeling practice. Again, let's tap into that breath, deeper breaths, longer breaths. And see if you can take one more breath here and just soften something that you're feeling somewhere. Breathe in. And breathe out. Beautiful. From here, we're slowly going to transition out of the pose. So you'll place your hands underneath your shoulders. For Bev, she's going to just lift up enough that she can close the feet together. And then we're all going to take a seat facing the front of the room. So we're going to move into a shape called half butterfly. You're going to extend your right leg forward and then have your left leg at a 90-degree angle, just bending it out right. Again, we're taking a forward fold from here. So feel free to use your pillows and then just start to come down feeling supported. Now, as we can see here, Duncan's hips probably just a little bit high. This left knee is sitting up, and perhaps you're feeling that at home too. And there's a little bit too much effort taking place in this left hip flexor. So what we're going to do to support Duncan, and feel free to do this at home, use your books, your blocks, your towels, and just place underneath that left hip to support that natural external rotation. And again, we're here for a little bit. So usually in the practice of yin yoga, we spend roughly 2 to 5 minutes in each pose. But we're shortening that up a bit here, about 1 to 2 minutes, just enough to feel something, to get into the breath, and just gauge a little bit about where our mind is at. Deep, deep inhales. And then slower exhales. What can you soften here? What can you feel here? Let's go one more breath in. As you breathe out, soften through the fingers, the jaw. And then we're slowly going to swap to the other side. So just start to move super slow in the practice of yin. We'll extend the left leg, bend in the right knee. So very normal as you start to come out of the poses to feel like you aged a decade. A little bit of aches and pains is a very normal response. And the antidote to that is just move slower. It is just a sensation, it will not last. And then as we're in these shapes, can we see if we can let gravity have us and take over a bit? So there's not this act of pulling or pushing. We're not trying to get the head to the toes. We're rather just letting the bones fall into place and the muscles to feel like they're melting off the bones. So really just letting the body hang. And what will really help and aid this feeling and this giving in the practice of yin, that beautiful yielding that takes place, is breath. So the deeper the inhales, and then the longer you can get the exhales, the more this practice will start to truly serve you on all of the layers. Good. Feel free, if that left leg has got a bend in it, to bend it more if that hamstring is turning on. So don't feel like you have to stay. You are not stuck. Good. We're going to go one more deep breath in. Again, exhale, soften something somewhere. And then slowly start to pick the body upright. Move slow, no rush. And we're going to move into our last pose, which is called caterpillar. We're going to extend both legs out forward in front of us, but you're going to grab either your bolster, pillows, whatever you've got, and then slide it underneath your knees. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to create flexion through the spine. So that means we're going to round the spine. So we're not trying to reach and get anywhere. We're doing quite the opposite. We're letting the body round, the head go. It won't fall off, I promise. Perfect. This looks great as we are here. Another thing that may serve you, especially if your head is super far away from the ground and from the bolster, you can use your block or another pillow. And what I'll do with Duncan here is I'm just going to place it between the legs, and he's just going to rest his forehead on there. In the practice of yin, it can feel really nice to have the head supported. It kind of aids with that idea of we're here to let go, or rather to let be. We're here to yield and surrender into each pose. Cool, so here in these last moments of the pose, let's do a full body scan. And as we're doing this full body scan, we're tapping into a little bit of mindfulness. Is there something somewhere that you can soften? So obviously there's that physical sensation going on, maybe in the spine, the outer hips, but maybe the shoulders can soften. Maybe your eyes can feel like they're becoming a little more cooler, more relaxed. Maybe your fingers, are you aware of the tip of your fingers? So for those of you at home, feel free to stay exactly as you are. You can stay in this pose for a little longer. For today's practice, I'm going to bring my students into Shavasana. So they're just going to gently come upright and come onto their backs. You can do that too at home if you like, especially if you've got a little longer today. Stay on your back, relax. There's no rush. The practice is here for you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining us.